So we are actually discussing control structures, various control structures. We started with if, the conditional control structure if. So then we continued with if, else statement. We don't have case as such. So in C, C++, we have case, right? But we don't have that control structure in Python. So we have only if. If you want, you can use the elif. So for choosing one of the option among the multiple options. Then we have discussed about the loop control structure. One of the loop control structure is while. So any doubts in the previous class? Is it clear? So how to use while? It's simple. So the working is all the same except the syntax. The logic is all the same. Whatever you have learned in your C programming or the Java programming, it's all the same. Only thing is the syntax, how you use it. So it's like the keyword while, then your condition. So you should use one colon statement, then the list of statements that you want to execute. And remember, you should have the indentation. So if it is a single statement or multiple statements, whatever it is, you should place them with indentation. And once the loop is completed, then if you write some statement after this statement out of this sprint to indicate that, so you should close your indentation here itself. Does it make sense to all of you? So you should follow this. It's kind of end of the program, something like that. So by this, I can understand that this while loop is like it's closed here itself. Only these two statements are part of this while block. And this statement is out of the while block. So that's why this statement and this statement, they should start with the same line. Okay, so you should be very careful with the indentation while writing the loops or the conditional structures. Okay, and then I have asked you to do this assignment. I don't know how many of you have done that. So please try to complete all of you. So let's continue with the other loop control structure, for. So for is very flexible, right? So most of the times we use for statement only for the loop control as a loop control structure. The general form of the for control structure is, so this is what the general form is. So for the index variable, whatever you are writing in the sequence. So here you should pass a sequence, and I'll tell you what the sequence indicates. Then whatever the statements you want to write, you can write it here. So in C programming, how do we write? So can you tell me? I'm writing a C programming for loop and C programming. How do you write? Is this how you write, right? So your for keyword, then your initialization followed by a semicolon, then your condition, a semicolon followed by an incrementation, and whatever you want. So you can use, so like braces you can use, and you can write whatever the statements you want. So that's how we write in case of the C, C++ or Java. But here the syntax is a little different. So here we don't have any initialization. So you have a variable only. And you have a keyword in for this variable in sequence and the set of statements. All of you please listen carefully. So this is very, very important to understand. So just listen for 5 minutes. Then for, so see this example. The sequence indicates you can use either a list or a string or a tuple or any sequence data structure you can use here. So at the place of the sequence, you can provide any of the list or the tuple or the string because they have the multiple elements, right? So you are basically iterating over this sequence data structure, whatever the sequence you are providing. So your loop will be iterating over the sequence elements. So how it works is, so initially whatever you are providing in this sequence, the first element of the sequence will be placed in this variable. Okay, and then with that value, this statements will be executed. Then after completion of these statements, then the second element of the sequence will be assigned to this variable. Then this list of statements will be executed. Then the third element, then the fourth element, so on and so forth. It will be continued till the last element of your sequence is copied to your variable, and then these statements will be executed. So that's how your for loop works in Python. So if you observe this here, I'm having a string here, just the list of vowels. the index variable I'm using, and this variable will iterate over the string. And what happens is, for the first time, the first letter of the string will be copied to this index variable letter. If you want, you can use yeah, let's continue.
Ma'am, can't hear you, ma'am.
So then whatever the statements you are providing inside this for loop, that will be executed. So then E will hello.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Oh,
Now
it
hear you.
went muted. Sorry. So by mistake, I pressed mute button. Oh, thank you. So here in this for loop, in this example, I am passing a sequence, a list here. So which is also a kind of sequence. So any collection of elements you can pass here. So here I'm passing a list which is prepared with the 3 numbers. Then for the first time, the first number will be copied to I. Then the statement will be executed. So print I. So that's how you are getting 1. Then the second number will be copied to I. Then this value will be displayed because you have the print I. Then the third number will be copied to I, then print I will be executed, then you are getting 3 as the output, right? So that's how you can use any sequence data structure with the for loop, and you can iterate over the list of elements. Now let's have a demo of that, how it works. Shall we write a simple program for I? I'm just using I as an index variable. Maybe I'm creating a list. So my list is 10, 20, 30, 40, then 50. So these are the list of elements. Then remember, always your loop, any conditional control structure, even function, so it should end with a colon. So then whatever the statements you want to display, then or you want to execute, you can make it as a part of your for loop. So don't forget to leave some spaces for indentation. Now I'm done with the code. You see, the first element 10 will be copied to I. Then the second element will be copied. So then this will be executed. Then third element, then fourth element, then fifth element. So if you have more elements, so it will be continued. Okay, so that's how it will be done. Or you can first create the list like this: 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. So now I have the list and I can continue this. So instead of writing the sequence here, I can use that variable itself. Okay, for I in L1. So whatever is there in this list, that will be copied in place of this L1, and your list of elements will be displayed. Okay, or you can do some other operation also. So for every element in L1, you are displaying I plus some 100. So you are adding your, like here you are just displaying the values. Here you are adding some value 100 constant to every element of the list and then you are displaying them, right? So that's how you can use the for statement. And in addition to these, we can use for with the range function also. So first let's check out what range function is. So we have a special function in Python called range function. And this range function, hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So no, like kind of, I'm checking whether you are able to hear me or not.
We
So why
can.
is a lot of silence in the class? Nobody is interacting. Any problem?
No, ma'am.
Yeah. So we have a range function in Python, which is used to create a sequence of numbers within a range. Range function similar to your, if you remember the slicing operator, what does it do? Do you remember the slicing operator?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. What does it do? Slicing operator. Extracts what? What does it do? Slicing operator.
It also has the step count. I mean, no. If we give the step as one, it slice.
Okay. Say for example, I have this list. So I want to get a portion of this list. So I can do that, right? So maybe from second element to fifth element, I want to get this list. I can use the slicing operator. So this colon operator with the indexing within the square brackets. So that's called as a slicing operator to extract a portion of the sequence data structure, right? So there also we have the start value. So what are the values you can pass with the slicing operator? The start value, the stop value, and if you want, you can pass the step counter also. Yeah. So here also the same way these values are used with the range function. So if you remember that, exactly the same way you can use the range function here. So it takes 3 arguments: start, stop, and step. So these are the 3 arguments it takes: start, stop, and step. Okay. So what this function is used for? It is basically used to create a list of numbers or a sequence of numbers. Okay. So now let's see how do we create. So instead of creating the list and then iterating over that, so you can actually create a sequence with the help of this range function, and it has many other advantages also. So let's have a look at that. I'm going to use the range function here. Range of maybe I use 10, only single argument I'm passing. So if I pass only single argument, what does it do? So when I use this range function, what happens is it creates a range of integers from 0 to 10, because you haven't mentioned like only one argument is passed, right? When there is only one argument, that indicates that it's a stop value. So here your range function takes 3 arguments, where start and step are optional. If you provide only one argument, then that will be treated as a stop value, and the sequence will be generated from yours from 0 to stop value, including the start number and excluding the stop value. So that's how range of stop works. Okay, and if you use 2 arguments, if you pass 2 arguments, they will be considered as start and stop value. So from this start value to stop value, it generates a sequence of numbers. So inclusive of start and exclusive of stop. So if you remember the slicing operator, the working is exactly the same as that. And of course, you can pass all the 3 arguments also: start, stop, and step. Okay, so it generates a sequence of numbers from starting from this value to this value with a step counter of this, with an increment of this. And so the range function doesn't allow to provide the floating point values. Only integer arguments are valid, remember. So you cannot pass the start, stop, step as floating point values. So everything must be an integer. So that's one constraint you have. Okay, and if you don't provide start value, it will be treated as 0. And stop is always required. It's not optional. So if you pass only one argument, that will be treated as stop only. And before that value, till stop -1, your sequence will be generated. And step is also optional. So if you want, you can have the negative step value also, positive step value. Both are valid. So it's kind of what is the step, the incrementation value in the sequence you want to generate, you can mention that here. Yeah, now let's proceed and see how this works. So can you guess For I in range of 10, print I. So you are kind of generating a sequence of numbers from 0 to 10. Okay, a list will be generated for you. Okay, and you are iterating over the loop and you are displaying them. So first, for the first time, I will get which value? Yeah, what is generated by this range? I cannot show you because maybe try, but it cannot be. That is a problem. Board is the best thing. This cannot be done. Maybe I'll generate a list like this. Range of 10. Or maybe list of L1 equal. Maybe this way. Yeah. Now let's see. So this range function, what it does is it generates a sequence of numbers. Here I'm passing only one argument. So 0, it starts from, by default, the start value is 0 because you haven't mentioned anything. And the end value, the stop value is 10. So before that, all the integers will be generated. You haven't provided any step counter. That's why the default incrementation is 1. Is that fine?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, now let's see. I'll provide 2 arguments. Okay, so 5 comma 50, maybe 50. So if you want to create it by hand, no, you have to provide every element, 5, 6, everything you need to type. But here, using this range, automatically, if you observe, no, everything will be created for you. See, so creating a longer sequence. Hello? Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, yes, yes. Sorry for that. So this is how you can use the range function to create a longer sequence of values. Here, if you observe, your range is created from the number 5. So this is included. Okay, can you observe that? This number is included, but this number will not be included. And so before that only you will get the values. Maybe you can check with other values. Maybe something like 15. So I want to generate a value from 9 to 15. So now let's display that. See, so from 9, every element will be displayed till 14. Is that okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So now let's create another list. I'm going to give a step counter because your step counter is by default 1. So
1.
even if you don't give any step counter also, all the values are generated. Okay. Now let's see if I give the step counter as 1. So the same because, so by default itself the step counter is treated as 1. Okay. Now let's change it to 2. So what happens? So what are the values that are displayed? Yeah. So you can consider it like this. See, all the values will be generated. Then after that, so with every step count, 9 plus 2, 11 plus 2, 13, 13 plus 2, 15. But 15 should not be included in the range. That's why this number will not be returned. Okay, that's how you are getting only 9, 11 and 13. Is that clear? Of course, you can have negative numbers also. So maybe minus 9 to 15. See, the negative numbers also you can pass, and maybe you can have, yeah, now let's see, 19 to 15. I want to display 19 to 15. Can you guess what will be the output of this? 19 to 15 I want to generate, starting from 19 and ends with 15 minus 1, that is 14. Is there any valid value within that range? Is there any value within that range? Hello, what's happening?
No, ma'am.
No, right? So nothing will be displayed. So an empty list only will come. Okay, that's how. So if you provide an invalid range, then nothing will be displayed. An empty range will be created. So if you give some valid, maybe 9 to 15. So now let's see with minus 1. Now can you guess? Or maybe first we'll see the positive thing. Then
In
we'll
the
go.
reverse order, ma'am.
Huh? What happened? So now I have changed it. So 19 to
Reverse
50.
order.
Yeah, in the reverse order I want, because my step counter is -1. Now it's valid. Okay. So that's how you can. So depending on your step counter and your list of values, so your range will be created. So now it's 9 to 15 with -1. So 9 minus 1, 8, 8 minus 1, 7. It's going in the reverse direction, right? That's how you can use the range function to create a sequence of integers. And remember, you can create only sequence of integers, not the other types of values. Fine. Is it clear so far? Now,
Yes,
how
ma'am.
to use the range value with the for loop? So let's see that. So we can use the range function with the for loop, and it will be pretty easy to do many simple tasks in Python with the range function and the for loop. So here, if you observe for I in range of 0 to 4. So what sequence will be generated with this range function? Range of 0, 4. Range of 0, 4. What are the values, sequence that is generated? I'm just asking for the sequence.
1, 2,
0, 1, 2, 3.
0, 1, 2, 3.
0 to
And
3.
you are displaying, yeah, good. So you are just displaying them. So the output would be something like this. And here I am creating another range with 0, 8 with a step counter of 2. So what sequence will be generated for you?
0, 2, 4.
Yeah, you are kind of generating the sequence of even numbers. Now here you can see 20, 14 with -2. So in the negative direction, right? So 20, 18, 16 will be generated. So now let's write a program. So to display all the even numbers, so I'll use for and range function. So how simple it would be with the for loop and the range function, you can observe. So now let's read a value, n value, and what is this n value? You are reading n value. Done. N is ready for you. Then next, what do you want to do? You want to display all the, so maybe you better always you write comments. So code to generate even numbers up to n. Okay. So for I in, can you prompt range of, so till what you want to, what do you want to display? All the even numbers I want to display, and I want to make it simple. How do I do that? All the even numbers. So you just
0, n, 2.
0, n, 2, you just generate. So is 0 is an even number or odd number? So if you want, you can ignore that. Then you just print I value, right? Then if you want, you can give another message. So list of even numbers up to, what is that? N, maybe something like this. And trend value, maybe I'm giving 50 as an value. So see, you are getting all the
Odd numbers, ma'am.
yeah, I'm sorry for that. So maybe if you want
0.
0, I don't want to include 0.
Oh.
So that's why I want to start with 2. Maybe I better give 10 numbers so that we can see it in a single screen. So 2, 4, 6, 8. So like this, all the list of even numbers will be displayed, right? See? So that's how with single statement you can generate all the list of even numbers. Maybe I want to write another program. So to display multiples of 3. Can you tell me how do we do that? Multiples
Increment
of
by 3. Yes.
Yeah, increment by 3, right? Multiples of 3. You are reading n value, then up to 3. So incrementation is by 3. What about the start? So end may be n,
3.
then so
3.
start with 3. Yes, good. So now maybe up to 30 I give. So all the multiples of 3 I get. So this is how you, without any condition, right, you can complete the code. So that's how in Python you have a range function which makes your life simple to generate these kind of sequences. Is that fine? And one more thing is you can use a string also with the for loop. Maybe I'm going to create a string for S in Vignan University, right, with a colon, then print. I want to print every character. That's all. So how does it work? Do you understand? So string also is a sequence. So in Python, we have sequence data structures. What is the sequence? Which has some ordering, right? The data structure in which the elements follow some ordering. So ordering means, so there's the first element, second element, third element, fourth element. So like that, I have some ordering among the elements. So is there any ordering among these elements or not? So we have, right? So such kind of data structures are called as sequence data structures. So like list, tuple, string, these are all the examples for the sequence data structures. So now if you use this code, what happens is the first letter of the string will be copied to this S. And then whatever you want to do, you can do that within the for loop. So every letter I am displaying. Okay, is that fine?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so now coming to the break and continue. So you know this very well, but still. So how do you use the break statement with the while or with the loop? And where do you need to use it? So break statement can be used to break the loop. So if you want to stop the continuation of the loop, then you can use the break statement. And from that iteration, all the rest of the iterations will be terminated. That is, whenever the condition is true, so then the break statement will be executed and the loop terminates with that iteration itself. Right? That's how the break statement can be used. And what about the continue? Yeah, let's take an example maybe. So let's see an example where we can use break statement. So maybe, so when you are writing a code to search the list of elements, maybe you can use this, right? If there is an element 10, I want to terminate this. Otherwise, I want to print. I think we discussed this, right? For if I is equal to, yeah, the long back I have explained all this in detail. Anyhow, let me explain. So now I'm just changing it to 0, n, 0, n. So we have n. So you are reading n value. Then you are creating a sequence from 0 to n. And if your I value is, so like you are checking, is there any I value or not in your list of elements? Okay. So if whenever you come across that I value, so you can stop executing this loop and you are coming out of the loop, right? So that's how you can use the break statement. And if continue is there, how does it work? What is the difference between the break and continue? So if there is continue, only the current iteration, so whatever the set of statements that are after this continue statement, only those will be skipped. And it will continue as usual with the rest of the iterations. So that's the basic difference between the break and continue. So break statement is to terminate the loop at the current iteration, and the continue statement is to skip the current iteration of the loop. So that's how you can use the break and continue keywords. So then next, let's see the assert statement. So in Python, we have a keyword called as assert, which is used to ensure certain conditions at the beginning of the program itself. So I'll give you one simple example. Maybe assume maybe assert sample. So assume that I'm writing some program related to the employee payrolls. Okay. And for that, I read the, so I read the age of the employee. And now if you check, so maybe I have the like set of statements, but just for the kind of explanation, I'm using only these two statements. Now let's see what happens. Age. So I'm just reading the age value and I'm just displaying the age of a person. That's all. So maybe I have all the other details of the employees, but I'm interested in age. Employee age is something like this. Now let's read age value. So if your age value is something like, what is the like accepted age value, the valid range of age? Maybe I can give 20.
Yes,
Is it
ma'am.
valid or not? Yeah, it's valid. Okay. So shall I give 50? Is it valid or not? So
Is
for the
valid.
employee, it's valid only.
Valid.
Yeah. Now let's check 60. Maybe 60 is also valid for the employee. So I'm giving that. So no problem at all. But let's see, I'm giving 500 or even 5,000. So if I write a program like this, it will accept any number, right? So which is invalid for the age. So at the beginning of the program itself, if I want to check, so I have a statement called as assert. So how I can use this assert is, so you have, this is the general form for using the assert. So any variable, if you want to check any condition, you can use the assert statement. So whenever the condition is true, then the program executes as usual. If the condition is false, then your program is terminated, showing an error. So why we use this assert statement is to assert or to ensure that this condition is true in your program. So usually these kind of assert statements, we place them at the beginning of the program itself to ensure that the values are satisfying certain conditions. So for that, we'll use assert statements. Now let's use this assert to ensure that the employee age, what is the range for the employee age? Maybe greater than 25 is valid, right? And age is less than maybe 70. Okay, so that's how I can use. So now let's see what happens if I use this statement. F5. So I'm giving the value of age of the person as 30. So is it valid or not according to our program? So I'm accepting the age between 25 and 70. So above 25 and below 70, it's okay for me. But if it is not within this range, so your program should not execute. Okay. So I want to assert this age should be greater than 25 and less than 70. So let's see if I pass 30, what happens?
Valid.
30 is valid, so no problem. Now let's continue and check. So maybe 60 I give. Is 60 valid or not?
Valid.
Yeah, it's valid. Yeah, now let's give the age as something like 500?
Not valid.
Yeah, what it should be. See,
Error.
your program will not, your program will not execute at all. So it asserts that this condition is met. So if this condition is not met, then your program will generate an exception. So that's called as assertion error. So something you want to ensure, but that is failing. That's what the meaning of it. Is it clear how the assert statement can be used in your program? So to ensure some conditions, you can use the assert statement. Fine. Any doubt? Maybe you can check for the other way also. Maybe 0 or 15. So 15 years, is it valid? According to this code, is it valid?
No, ma'am.
Age or not? No, it's not valid. So it's generating an error, assertion error. So that's how you can use the assertions in Python. Is it clear? Yeah, now all the programs that you have learned in your first semester, second semester, or so far, so you try to practice them in Python. So that's how you can get familiarity with Python. So you can then appreciate how easy it is to do the things with Python. So you have a lot of functions, APIs, a lot of libraries in Python. So at least the basic programming you better learn. So any doubts so far? So we have one simple concept like while, else, and for else that we'll discuss in the next class. So with this, the second unit is completed. Fine. Any doubts so far? So how many of you are practicing in HackerRank or HackerEarth platforms? So simply listening to the classes and leaving, it doesn't make any sense. It's waste of my time and also your time, all of your time. Yeah, good, good. I'm happy to see a few people are practicing. Yeah, maybe initially you might feel a little difficult because so we are just started, right? But slowly you can complete the problems, solve the problems. Of course, Python in HackerEarth and all, they're little difficult compared to C language. Is it not? So now let me take attendance. -277 is absent. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. 14 is absent. 32 is absent. 179 is absent. 198 is also absent. 240 is absent. Who is 241? 241 is specially marked.
Ma'am,
Please check.
240 present, ma'am.
241 is absent. Three 43 is absent. 388 is absent. Three 96 is absent. 399 is absent. 414 is absent. 415 is absent.
Present, ma'am. 415.
Okay. But why your number is not there in the list? 62. 468. 465 is absent. Why many absentees today? 73, 74, 76 is absent. So please check these marked numbers here. 77 is absent, 86 is absent, 88 is present, 89 is absent, 94 is present, 95 is present, 506 is again absent.
Present, madam.
Any number లేదు మరి. Where is your
అలాగా
number?
madam.
Your
One
number?
second,
Come right. Yeah, check the absentees. 277. 101 I'm seeing the list, but here I'm seeing so many absentees.
86 present, ma'am.
86? Which 86?
486, ma'am. Same message.
486 is present. What is your number then? Yeah, Ishwant.
506.
506 is present. Okay. That's all. Shall I freeze the attendance? Absentees are, you can see, right, all of you. 277, 14, 32, 124, 179, 198, 241, 343, 388, 396, 399, 414. Who is that? 124.
Four.
Yeah, given. 396, 399, 414, 465, 477, 489. So I freeze the attendance. Yeah, done. Submit. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for joining the class. So when is the next class? Not on Monday, Tuesday. Do we have class on Tuesday?
Timetable ఇవ్వలేదు కదా ma'am.
Okay, timetable. Okay, okay. Okay, ma. Fine. Thank you. So see you in the next class. Bye. And practice, no? Otherwise, it's all waste. So practice the programs. Now, like the basic programming, you understand, right? The basic programming structures and all. So now you understand the if condition, the why, how to write the while, for, and all. So now you can start writing programs. I'm closing the meeting.
And then
Yeah, bye. Have a nice time. Bye.